Hello and welcome to episode 80 of the Dash Force Free Amigos podcast. I'm Mark Mason and I'm joined by my two fellow amigos, Joel Valenzuela. How are you doing today?
Peace. I'm doing well.
Come on, be honest. You're hyped up. You're full of energy.
More or less.
He was bouncing around like the Energizer Bunny before we started. So I know
Just like with markets, every surge turns into a crash.
And Brian, aka Mastermind, how are you?
Good.
Excellent. And one particular reason why Joel is excited for this podcast is because we're joined by Alex Werner, Dash Pay developer. How's it going, Alex? Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, long time no see. Hi, everyone.
Excellent. So I'm sure everyone is super excited because the Dashcore group revealed some big news yesterday, and everyone's talking about chain locks, trying to look into the details. It sounds very exciting. It seems like this is just the beginning of what LLMQs can do. Long live it, master no quorums. It's very exciting times. Alex, my understanding is like this code had been done like a couple months ago, so you guys have just been sitting on this for a while. Is that correct?
Not that much, but it came quickly with BLS. So with BLS coming in, there is a lot of good ideas that, basically solve some issue. You have one here with chain locks. So we're not sitting on there. We have that in our mind, or we sometimes discuss like, oh, it would be nice if we could do that this way. Oh, yeah, okay, let's do a deep on that. And then we focus on one particular aspect. Chainlock has been one of them. Just, I guess, also the current atmosphere in the Bitcoin Cash community helps that. And it's like, oh, but we have the solution to that, and it will bring so much ease for I don't know, like even for me as DashPay developer, the fact that I can safely tell that at some point they won't have any reorg. It's basically for me, okay, so, at this height, everything below, I can trust it. I can be sure that we won't reorg that. It's really a good thing. A good thing to share. Yeah.
Well, I know Brian is very keen to ask this, and I think a lot of the community that watched the summary quarterly call saw Bob's like kind of updated roadmap and just saw 0.14, but they were kind of a bit confused. So this actually explains what 0.14 was about, because a lot of people anticipated that it would be going from 0.14 to 1.0, but like the chain locks really is essentially 0.14. And as you mentioned, with Bitcoin Cash, all the drama that's going on now, that's why it was really like time of the essence to do it right now. Is that correct?
Not so much. So there is a tendency to use versioning numbers as advertisement. You have that with video games or any kind of different, even with website before. Basically, we should, as developer, I'm basically against that. So what I see when I'm seeing a version number is, will I be compatible right away, or will I have some work to do? So if I see the first number changing, I can be sure, okay, something changed there. I will have to be really careful before being safe to say to my client that, yes, I'm good. You can use my software. I'm fully integrated up to this version. So I cannot say that a feature should or shouldn't be in a particular version. It seems to be more a marketing call or a strategic call. For me, version number shouldn't have anything to do about that. And we could use code name, such we did before. But yeah, code name should have maybe a defined scope.
So in 13, we'll have to restart the master nodes, correct?
I guess so. Because of LLMQ, I guess that LLMQ will require you to have another key that you have right now.
But that's 14, right?
Yeah.
13.
So when 13...
LLMQ is coming as a foundation layer. It's whenever you have a signing phase in order to activate a new update, you basically want to ship as much as you can at this point in order to avoid that later on, especially in our way, when sometimes we set up foundation layer without all the proper all the wishes we had in terms of SPV, accessibility, or whatever. So you can end up with situations such as you want to ship something that wouldn't have the proper verification, such as proof of service, for instance. And the day when you will want to deploy that, you want to be able to do that quickly. So you will try to segregate big change in once.
Yeah, so LMQ is coming in 13, but then the chain locks is coming in 14, correct?
I cannot say what is coming where, just because
planned.
Planned, let's say planned, yeah. If any issue arises, like let's say, I don't know, chain locks has an effect that we didn't anticipate it, and so on testnet, we will stop thinking about shipping it now, and we'll work on it before. So yeah, whatever can happen, we can only plan for.
Yeah, no, there was supposed to be a feature to where we didn't have to manually restart the master nodes every time. Is that coming in 13? Do you know? Or
yeah, Sentinel. No, I actually don't know at all what is the subject with Sentinel and what we do. I know that we want to avoid having Sentinel, but for now it's still here. We still use it, but it's, yeah, as a goal, we want to remove Sentinel and have the proof of service handled directly through the master node. I'm not sure yet on how.
Yeah. So let me, I guess, from my perspective, explain something about the versioning thing. Now, obviously, versioning, and when people say like, "Oh, when evolution? What is evolution? When's it coming out?" and people start to get hung up over dates and things like that. The reason that people do that is it's just like a basic thing of like how the market works. It's a product, and people pay for a product, and so in reality, when you're paying developers salary, even though when you're going like into reality, you're just giving them money to work on, and then they can just work, and then stuff gets finished as it's finished whenever it's actually ready. Might be in this version, might not be, might be in whatever. Who cares about versions? Might be at this timeline, might be at this timeline. If it's in this timeline, it might be terrible. If it's in this timeline, it might be better. Who knows? But what people are thinking of is just like when they buy a car. They're like, okay, I'm going to buy a car. It's going to cost this much. It's going to have these features. And okay, I want to buy that. And so when people are paying, for example, a developer team, they're thinking, oh, this much money, like the time frame is how long do we have to pay these guys for? As in, how much does it cost to get what, and when do I get it? And so people think, and there's that constant conflict. I wouldn't say conflict, but you have to sort of, a successful project has to balance those two, has to balance actually letting developers do the work that they need to do and release things as makes most sense, while at the same time still offering like packages that people get their head around and can pay for. Like, yeah, I want to buy that. Yeah, I'm going to pay them to do this. I'm going to get that then. Oh, Christmas comes early. We get, this here. And then people get all excited about that. And investors do that too, right? You might throw a whole bunch of money into a project thinking, oh, we'll get this product at this point, and that's going to increase the value of my investment. And so there's always that, like, you kind of need someone to go between the workers and like the developers and then the investors, and then just go between and try to like say, all right, can you do this, that? Oh, he wants that. Can you do this at that time? And then just kind of, oh, that's when I'm sleeping and noon and whatever. And then
there is a thing in IT contractors. There is a thing that annoy most of the people, is that in this condition, when you are directly faced to the client, you actually have to deal with the client. The problem with dealing with a client is that the client doesn't know what he really wants. Like, let's say, let's ask the community, does the community want chain locks? But would it be wishing it for, or would it be seeing that it would be nice to have, or a feature that we could even do? That's why basically you want expert to do that, because you actually don't really know what is needed. You don't know what is the direction. The direction change. Like, I mean, there is stuff that we were discussing 1 year ago that we don't discuss today, because either it has been a standard, or like instant payment is today a standard. There is the one that has it and the ones that are still lacking it, but it's a standard now. So basically that's why you get people to think this subject to you, or to at least be in the middle and trying to reflect what the guy is really saying, what the client really wants. He say
Oh,
he
yeah.
wanted thread, but maybe not. And
Oh,
as a
you
developer, we have the opposite side, is that, okay, we gave you the car, you are expecting the car to have basic functionality, basic car. And what we do is that each iteration, we ship you some update directly into your car without you even knowing that your car gets updated. And we improve it again and again. And no one is actually expecting that, I don't know, this system is 50% time more performant. But the guy that does it knows that it's really important, because in a condition where you have AI and you have a complex situation, you have to do many calculation, you have to be quick, whatever. I'm not car expert, but yeah, basically that's always complicated to give expectation. Like it's even better with chainlock that we actually never talked about it before, and we just ship it. Now we know we can do it, so we can talk about it, we can think about integrating it. What happened if we started to talk about it like 6 months ago, being like, yeah, but we could do something like instance lock? Then we have everyone being like, when chainlock?
So the problem is Evan talked about evolution too early.
No, it talked about the no, because if it didn't, would Dash be Dash? Would the people be in the same vision? Would us
Probably
be
not.
there? So you have to get that, and especially at that time, because we were in the vision phase. Now we are in the professionalism phase, real work phase, integrating. You have to at least keep the same path up to the moment, like you can say, okay, we did it, and get back to the vision phase. Okay, guys, what do we want to dream of now?
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, that kind of reminds me of collateralized mining, where people always kind of wanted the same outcome of making something that's secure against attacks. And Evan thought of collateralized mining. A lot of people are saying, well, Dash is going to do this eventually, and kind of thinking of that. And then when Craig Wright started being himself, then people were like, oh shit, we need something. Hey, remember that idea you guys had? What's like the timeline on that? Could we get that moving? And then Coda Block in his infinite wisdom was like, shh, working on something. And then there you go.
It seems a much more elegant solution too.
Oh,
The
yeah.
collateralized mining was pretty deep, and it seemed cool. But yeah, is the instant send planned for 13? The with the 4 inputs, it's going to be like the low fees and
Yeah, the automatic instant send.
yeah. Is that 13?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm implementing as it is. So yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I've got a question about instant send. So
Uh-oh.
with the news of DIP 8 and chain locks yesterday, it sparked heavy conversation in Discord, and there was lots of chats going on. And I saw Strophy, shout out to Strophy, who part of the core team. He deals with the translators and the document side. Anyway, he made a comment in Discord that I saw, and I think some people overlooked it. So I'd just like to rephrase this and see if you can just address this for us. So he said, with regard to chain locks, with a few changes to how instant send currently checks things, it will soon be possible to securely chain send instant send transactions with 0 block confirmations if the first transaction in the chain is mined in a block with a chain lock. Is this something that you've explored? Because this sounds quite exciting, because we've seen in Bitcoin Cash that they've talked about 0 conf quite a bit. So I'm particularly interested in this. So can you speak to this?
Yeah, actually, it's a user requirement that we had quite a lot. Is that, okay, basically I received an instant send transaction. I want to spend it now because, I don't know, like my mother gave me money so I can pay my bus, whatever. You have to be able to pay it now, and that's where you want to be able to be using instant send. You want someone to be instantly sending you money that you can instantly spend. So from that, we know that we have to find a solution to that. It's basically that's the user need. We have to. Then becomes the how to and when to. So the how to seems to be fixed. I think maybe I'm missing something, but having chain locks that ensure you the path up to a certain height, as we basically did that with Checkpoint, and because we have that by default, instance and by default when you have a certain limited amount of input, well, then what is really blocking you going from chain instance and then becomes a when. I'm not sure if it's about removing a check somewhere. For a start, you want to have deep 8 integrated, shipped on LiveNet before, thinking of it, I guess.
This is huge because, like, traditionally, you'd have to be locked in for the 5 blocks, but with InstaSend by default, and I think this is the problem with the community. They're still trying to get their heads around this whole quorum speak. They don't fully understand LMNQs. I'm still trying to get my head around it, and we know we're just scratching the surface. Just with the chain locks, we know there's going to be so much more extra functionality as we're just talking about InstaSend now. So it's very exciting, but just the implications of being able to do this InstaSend by default, and potentially zero conf as well, all thanks to LMQs, long living master no quorums. This is actually like really game changing stuff, and I just hope people outside of the Dash community really, turn around and take a look at this and say, like, this is actually amazing stuff.
Yes, of course, and that's the thing I've noticed. Now with Dash, it's starting to feel like blockchain is a 10-year-old technology. It's starting to feel like, okay, people have actually made this. It's not rough anymore. People are making this work. And if you compare to just about any other form of payment, it's like, well, you got to settle. Like, you swipe your card, it kind of goes through. It's mostly okay, but there's some fraud and chargebacks. And then maybe the next day it'll be confirmed. And then you're like, okay, well, with Bitcoin, you send it right away. It's very hard to do. You can't really do chargebacks. It's very hard to do, or very unlikely to have a double spend. And then within 10 to 30 minutes, it's just like, it's pretty solid. And then we start learning about, okay, well, there's some double spend issues, and then 51% attacks are a threat, but it's still pretty okay. And then you're going to have Dash with 1.3 seconds. It's written in stone on the rock, just right away. It's just done forever. And then you're going to see, a Dash transaction will be more, and this is like marketing language, of course. I understand. Like, every time I talk to a developer about this kind of stuff, they're always like, well, but no, but this thing. And I'm like, I get it. I'm painting with a broad brush because that's how people see us. But anyway, a Dash transaction in 1.3 seconds should be more permanent and more secure than a Bitcoin transaction after a whole day.
Yeah, that's what I like, because it's not just about bragging rights, is it?
Because of chain locks and the inability to do 51% tax or roll back the blocks and stuff like that.
As soon as you get confirmed, you're good. Like, you're good if you have a chain lock on that. You are really, really good. Everything is good for you. Even the you're confirmed.
As a merchant, it's the use case of it as well. That's what I like about Core, that they're so focused on the actual utility side of it and the use case. So it's not just saying, we can get one over Bitcoin Cash with zero confirmation. It's not about that. It's about actually for merchants and stuff as well. The solution speaks for itself. We're focused on being a payment solution, and this actually gives us edge over everyone else. We want to be leaders in the space, and this is, start of the pathway to actually getting us to the finish line. So this is really important.
Adoption.
Yeah, exactly.
Important. Yeah,
And I've started looking at marketing language and things that people do for other types of financial services and things like that. They all talk about ease of use and safety. Everything is something about ease of use and safety. Just like that. No extra fees. Just one thing and you're just done. Or secure, safe, secure your family, all this kind of stuff. And like, I remember I've been reading into Zencash or Horizon stuff because they got attacked by 51% attack, had a bunch of funds reversed, and they implemented some sort of a anti-51% attack measure, which has something to do with heavily penalizing miners who release blocks later, who don't publicize them right away. But anyway, they actually take the attack seriously because they got attacked. Now you have so many coins like Litecoin, like Bitcoin, although because it's the biggest one out there, it's not as bad. But then Bitcoin Cash, like, I remember thinking for the whole year of Bitcoin Cash, like, how is someone not attacking the crap out of this coin when you have so much hash power that can just go, you flip a switch and just ruin the network if you wanted to? Like, how do you just walk around with that vulnerability? It's just like, taking all your life savings in $100 bills and just making a suit out of them and just wearing them around town. Just like, hi guys.
I think
like,
one of them was
that
attacked.
vulnerability is scary.
Was it like Bitcoin Gold or Bitcoin Private? I think one of those.
But that was a different. It wasn't SHA-256. It was a different hashing algorithm. But still, yeah, a bunch were attacked. Monacoin. I don't know.
You have websites that calculate you the cost of an attack that you have to spend.
Oh, yeah.
It's really insightful to look at it. Sometimes it's actually not that costly.
Crypto51.app. Let me put that in the.
I think that in this condition, where you are as big as Bitcoin Cash, no matter what we can say for now, the hash rate is still talking here. You get to other kind of miner, not the quick box type of miner, but you have like dedicated miners that really want to be part of the decentralization. Obviously, make money with that, but I mean, they don't want to harm the economy. They don't want to harm the sector.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Even if take Dash today or something like that, and then you imagine a hostile actor decided to buy as many miners as possible over the course of 6 months, because more than that, then they might be outdated, but just buy as many as they could and just attack the network because their product or their system that they're behind is worth a lot more than that cost, and they view Dash as an existential threat. Even take Dash at 10 times hash rate, and then just think about all that investment. You could have some very powerful actors could still come in and do that. And it's not, that's the thing, is we were always at the stage where no one was basically 51% attacking because no one really figured it out and no one really cared. And then we got to the point where, the cryptos are actually worth something. Now you have some sort of small time people coming in and trying to attack and reverse some exchange transactions and make some money. And we're still at the point where no one really cares enough to have like the 800-pound gorilla come down and Hulk smash and just ruin the whole thing. Not quite there yet, but then we do have a little baby gorilla and Craig Wright going in and say, my Bitcoin Cash, and like trying to take over that with some pretty deep pockets. Now, obviously nothing that large on a global scale, but still like just viewed controlling the one true Bitcoin or whatever, the concept of that as
is centralization
very valuable.
Is it not? I mean, for me, with Craig Wright and the way he's going about Bitcoin and the original vision, it's kind of like back in Google or Amazon, because as soon as you disagree with him, you're out the picture. You're not a part of the conversation. So it is centralized in that aspect. Like every time he gets fed up, he just sticks another fork in it and puts another Bitcoin on the Barbie. So like it's embarrassing. So like I think people are starting to wake up to this now, because I don't think you can truly say that you believe in decentralization and just say like, really, you're just saying you're following this one individual, their individual's vision, and no one else has any say in it. And if you're not, if not, you just have to jump like a kangaroo onto another Bitcoin project. It's
I like all the Aussie references.
Thanks, man. It's MBG. No bloody good. Anyway, Alex, it would be a shame to have you on the podcast and not talk about Dash Pay, because everyone wants to know what is going on, and you're the right man to ask. How is progress going with Dash Pay? Is it just like back-end functionality, or do you actually have like a graphic user interface yet? Is the UI there?
Everything is on work in progress. We work on everything in parallel. Integration with the backend has been the task of the previous month. Now we don't have all the scene yet. So for instance, there is still some cache we have on the onboardings. So this is a task that we have basically stopped in order to focus on the payment phase. And, we will get that back again. So I guess that there is a lot of iterations that we will do again. So at least first having all the main screens, iterate on that in order to have what really we want for the user, and that iterating for instance, I guess the setting screens can wait way longer than the contact list, for instance. And after, like, what is really done, I mean, we are on maybe a year plus of different proto test. You remember Joshua that was working on that already sometimes ago. So we basically have all that as a foundation layer. We have Chris that does amazing job at finding a better way, basically, that we had before to articulate everything based on that. So it's really about we chop off a little bit, then another guy with big muscle really cut down the tree, then another guy find a way to, I don't know, remove the foundation of the tree, and another guy came, plant the seed, and yeah, we all together try to make some better tree from that.
Are you happy with progress though? Because me and Brian keep talking about how's this DashPay username's going to work, and we kind of like none the wiser from the quarterly call, because it seems like there's still ongoing discussions behind in core with different ideas. So it seems like there's not which isn't a bad thing. It's good to have discussions, right? That's, we don't want to stick with one thing. We want things to be debated. I'm guessing that's still the case though, right? There's still like competing ideas.
There is always discussion on some aspect. Sometimes it's handled by developers that get that back to strategic, saying like, "Hey guys, we have this thing. We are not sure how we want to deal with." Sometimes it can be the opposite, like strategy being like, "Okay guys, onboarding, we should have this way to do it. How can we integrate that into DashPay?" Sometimes there is even like more philosophical thought, like, should DashPay be the point of access in the Dash community? Like, there is constant discussion. The thing is, during that discussion, you still want to get going. You want to continue working on that. So sometimes you take decision on which you know that later on you will have to get back again at that and maybe tweak that hub. That's totally normal, and this is part of what an MVP is. A MVP is like minimal viable product. You want it to work, and all the little quirks will be fixed because we will have the user coming in and tell us what they have to say, which today is not. It's always complicated. Like, if we would show something to the user now, he wouldn't understand, just because that's not, as a developer, as a designer, we can see the product even in any of its phase. This is not necessarily true for a user, and right now we don't really want to have the setting screens, it's only like buttons piled, there is no design. Yeah, because we're not working on that. Please, like, let's first release that and then get with the user the feedback, and then get to a version that would be iteratively better. But basically, the goal of DashPay is to have MVP get better time after time, and release after release.
Are we going to be able to get a sneak peek before the actual release at some point, or are we just got to wait for the?
I don't know. I'm trying to get as much feedback as I can, but I cannot really spend time getting them. So I basically use what I got from people I'm discussing with, from previous integration I did. So basically keeping all the different discussion had over the course of the 2 years, and using that as a starting point. Then you have all the experience of the other team member. Then you have strategic value team meetings. Like, there is a lot of brains around that in order to make it to make the MVP very good. Then it's empowering the community to make it even better. But yeah.
So is the DashPay app going to come out after 0.14? Because from the quarterly summary call, Bob made it very clear there's different tracks of development, and they made, they're not all interconnected, right? So the DashPay app is kind of independent on its own. The foundation relies on some instrumental dips being activated, but we could potentially see the DashPay app launched between 0.13 and 14. It's not likely, it's not concrete, but there's potential there, correct?
So let's say I want to release now. What is missing? What is really missing? First, we miss some very valuable screens in the UI. We need some logic in the UI too, and we need some logic in the backend. But all that can be solved in a timely fashion. But really, the problem, I guess, would be with the fact that nothing is really open source yet. I mean, we do have a lot open source, but sometimes it's not known. Sometimes it's really not. Like, I mean, the Wallet library is not open source. I know it's even a problem for some people in the community. So DashPay will be rely on this library. This library is basically a library that allow you to deal with the primitive aspect of what you want to do in Dash, which is a wallet, and then you want to integrate DApp on that. That's basically what that does. And you want to have that open at least for a community review. That's the least minimum things. But even despite that, I want people to actually be able to test it, try it, play with it, attack it, etc. So this is not a 1 week job. So you have to take that into account. So my priority is getting that open source.
I'm concerned about ease of use, and I'm guessing that's why you're probably quite passionate about the DashPay usernames, because you put blood, sweat, and tears into this DashPay app. So I'm guessing whatever part of the side that you're on with the DashPay usernames, that's going to directly impact the ease of use of what you've been working on. So I imagine you're very passionate about that. Now,
for now, I really guess. Again, I need other eyes to look at it, but we have consensus in DCG about that. So again, more eyes. But right now we have everything in order to allow future dApps developer to be able to quickly start going. We have everything for developers that would love to do another wallet that DashPay to do it. Like registering a blockchain user is only one method to call for developer. Like, it's one line, and most of everything is one lining. There is still improvement to be made, but basically that's the spirit. So from developer perspective, I'm feeling pretty good, and discussing with them, I feel that they are excited with feature because they actually would love to implement that themselves. So providing that will be a big benefit. In terms of user, well, if we are aiming to be the best wallet out there, the question is that does the best good enough? I mean, that's only the user that will be able in the end to judge. We just would just aggregate all the information, all the different use case, all the different best experience we had in using a wallet. Sometimes it's from our partners, like we all know the Exodus wallet. We all know, like, I could list them, and it's bringing all that experience into a new one, making it better. But yeah, only the user can really judge to say, like, if yes or no it's good. To be honest,
when you say Exodus, because like people think about customization. So you telling me I could have like a Stay Dashy skin?
Yeah, Exodus, it's really me. It's because Exodus was early one of the best UI out there. So that was the team that really stunned me. I always had very good communication with them. So really, Exodus was basically the first example I always give. Yeah.
And they're still kind of unique in their own right, to be fair, as a third-party wallet in terms of the user experience and adding coins and just everything. They just got. I mean, I'm not endorsing them by any means. I do have an Exodus wallet, but anyway, in the Discord channel before we came on, you mentioned something to me that you was working on, and I was a bit embarrassed because I didn't actually know what it was. So you mentioned that you've been working on UTXO, and I googled it, and it stands for Unspent Output Transactions. Can you just explain, like, what you meant when you say you've been working on this?
Explain to the folks at home.
Yeah,
it's part of. Okay, this one is not really philosophic. It's really technical, privacy-oriented issue. So as you know, privacy is a thing we could not focus totally forever for the MVP. It's supposed to be post-MVP, but there is some aspect that really tickled a little bit. One of them is that, okay, if we have a contact relationship, I can pay you with no issue, and it will be private because I will create a new public address for you that only you can have. Like, there is a way to deal with that. But let's say you want to pay to Joel, and I don't have, and we don't have any contact relationship with him. We still want to pay to the username, right? So you want some kind of tipping address. Let's say that I'm starting to. So I have a meta information, which is Joel has this public address as a tipping address, and then you start to send him some money, and then he want to pay someone else or a big product, and he will need a lot of his different inputs. So he will mix together. Obviously its tipping address and its current inputs, make basically clearing up the privacy there. Obviously there is a solution, and it is when private send on mobile. But yeah, there is discussion around that. There is thing you want to be careful. Same thing. If you change the rule in a sense that, okay, if you have 4 inputs, you will be automatically an instance and transaction, but if you have 5, you won't. That means that you actually want to change the way you aggregate that. Let's say that most of the time you have a logic of using as much small inputs in order to clear them up because the fee are low currently. Then maybe now you want to avoid that. Obviously, the user doesn't do anything. The Qt wallet allow you to have specific input control, but for a user on DashPay, he doesn't even should know heard the term of UTXO or inputs and spend output. Like, don't talk of him about that. So how do we do to take the best decision for the user? What do we really want? Do we care about the fee? Do we care about the instantaneity of the transaction? Do we care about So don't try to get as much privacy in the MVP is still a concern.
I'm just thinking about the contacts list because Ryan, more often than not, always talks about a Venmo-like experience. So I'm thinking of a contacts list, and I've got Joel, I've got Brian, but I'm actually like picturing their like faces, like they've got their profiles and stuff. Is it going to be like that, or is it going to be a bit more basic? I'm just going to have like at Joel, at Brian. Well, or is it going to have like a is Joel going to be able to upload a really dank photo for his profile image?
Yeah, basically what he's trying to ask is just how dashy are we going to be able to stay?
We have tried to find what was the best solution to store a profile picture. So I guess that answers partly your question. It's actually not. There is a lot of complication in storing a picture, because what if you end up doing that in Drive and you want to remove it at some point? But that's the spirit. Like, basically, we are not going to be your usual wallet at all. The only thing that is similar, and even that, it's like we do that so much better. There is some good wallet, so maybe I'm not talking about this one in particular, but across what you already have used, we are clearly something you can really use that is intuitive and easy.
Well, we've got some questions in the live chat. Brian, do you want to take your pick? Which one takes your fancy?
I'm not looking. I don't know.
Go ahead. You're not looking. We've got quite a few. Okay, I'll start for one, and then Joel can kick it because there's lots coming in. So, first one off the bat. Will I be able to transfer my username to a different private master key? So transfer of property.
Yes. Because maybe. So the question is, we don't have agreement even in DCG, but what is the value of a blockchain username? I'm thinking that there is one. Some other might thinking that there is none. In case there is one, I want it to be transferable. It can be for a legacy purpose. Like, let's say I'm registering, you're registering your last name, and you want to, legate that at your desk. Whatever you want to be able to be to transfer that. So yes, right away should. I don't see any complexity. There is the method for that. So. Yeah.
So people should think of them in terms of like domain names, right? If you own something, you could always offer it up, right? I don't want to go too down this rabbit hole because I know it's going to start a big debate, but
it's really important that I'm not saying how you should consider that, because you will give me the answer. The usage will give me the answer. I feel it is like a domain name, and we have big passionate debate about if yes or no it is. I'm sensing that it is the same thing. But again, that's maybe it won't. So don't feel it as you think it is. Like, consider it as you wish.
Yeah, Hillaway's asking about the username hoarding, if we have a solution.
We have the problem. So one of the reasons why we got issue with that problem is that we had issue knowing if it is a problem, because we have an issue really, like, it's creating something that is bigger than you, and you have issue really naming that. Like, does domain name hoarding is an issue despite the fee, despite, like, okay, what do you want to hoard? Like, okay, you can do Joel 1 or Joel 2, you can do Joel up to 1999. Is that really what you want to do? I don't know, but we see the problem. I mean, I see the problem at least, and we discuss that, and
because if Mark doesn't get at Stay Dashy, we're gonna have to cry.
I'm gonna have to fork off. I'm gonna get my Craig right on. It's not gonna be pretty.
It's gonna be Pivx Evolution all up in here.
I can see it. I can see DJ Crypto in the chat. I know he's going to try and pounce on at Stay Dashy, and then he's going to try and ransom it to me. And it's the transfer of property. It's what the blockchain was created for, right? But I guess the bigger debate is it's the initial distribution of names, right? If Dash is going to go to the moon eventually, it's like the internet starting over again, and that's why from my personal feeling, I think of it like domain names, because this is going to be your identity at the end of the day for payments, right? So you just don't think about it on an individual basis. Think about companies, McDonald's, whatever, right? This is going to get really big. So that's why it's not a simple thing to answer. It needs careful consideration.
There is a thing with that, is that we are practically using internet for like a very long time. But if you are looking when the term typo squatting really came, you will see that it's probably like, I don't know, 2007, 2008, something around this time, meaning that before it was not a problem. I'm not sure we will have a Dash squatting in the early days, just because basically, okay, you will register your own stuff and maybe the stuff that you might even use and probably you will never use, but then what do you want to do? Register all the alphabetical combinations that you can do? Like, I mean, try to calculate that. That's a lot of money, and you better buy something else. But it's a concern, I mean, in the future it can happen, but again, how do you deal with the domain name? If someone has alex.fr domain name, how much do I want to pay him to get that back? That's at least how I see that, is that if I'm giving him $1 trillion, he might sell him, okay, 1 billion, 1 million, 10K, 1K, like, what is the limit? And that's not me to decide. And if it's on a sustainable level, the market should regulate itself.
There's going to be premium names though, right? I can see Brian's going to get that at Brian69 or something crazy.
You actually create it. I mean, you will create by your usage of this username the premium on the username. I mean, if tomorrow you became the world leader, ruler, dictator, whatever, then your username has more value than it has today. So it's really about what you do yourself, and it's the identity associated with your username that really changed, not the username itself.
I agree. I don't think people are going to go crazy with like silly names, aliases, because essentially this is going to be their bank account. So I would be Mark Mason, because like if this is the future and this is going to be credited to me, I want to make sure that I get Mark Mason more so than Stay Dashy, because this is going to be my bank account.
Jerky Mark Mason's out there. Get after it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like, there is one thing, is that initially, and you still have that with Iceland, but initially people just talk with them by their first name, right? Then we became so many that we added the last name that distinguish you. But now we are again so many. Are you sure that your first name and your last name will be forever the only way to?
Yeah, especially if you have boring naming customs, and you just don't like. I'm pretty sure I have not found a single other person on the planet who has the exact same first and last name as I do, with no middle name pronounced the way it is. There's probably one. There has to be statistically out in the multiverse. There's got to be plenty, but
yeah, but what about Vietnam, where half the population might have Nguyen as the last name?
yeah. Or what about Iceland, where there's legal limitations on what you can name your kid, and then you just have to
characters.
By the way, that's why in Mexican culture, everyone goes by their full name is first, middle, last, mother's maiden name, because every single 80% of the women are Maria, and 60% of the men are Jose, and so it's like the combination of it's like almost like seed words. None of the seed words are unique, but it's the combinations, the order that's unique.
In some internet community, people actually talk with themselves not by their first name and last name, but by their pseudonym, right? This one is totally make up. You will be able to make up, the flying horse, yes, but you will at the launch of Evo try to hoard the flying horse, the flying pony, the flying everything? Because maybe one day one guy will be having value calling the flying horse, because with that he has been branding itself in something that gives that a value. I mean, now you will take, Alex, Joel, whatever, in the same way than if you go on Twitter, you have Jack. And sadly, if you are named Jack and you weren't the guy created Twitter, you won't have the nick handle. So the point here is that you will just add numbers or something else
I think that this is going to be a much smaller problem if you can easily change the display name. So it's like by the name and not by the actual username. And you can look up by display names and usernames. So for example, what if some jerk decides to get on Coca-Cola first? And then they just want to steal all the Coke money, which is a funny joke on two levels, because either cocaine or the Koch brothers works for both. Anyway, so they try to do that, and then if someone's looking up, I'm going to look up Coca-Cola, so they look it up, and as long as the real one shows up at the top as the official or whatever, even if it's Coca.Cola or Coca-Cola 129 or something, even if that's back end, as long as it shows up right away, or if Mark Mason, someone does Mark M Mason, Mark D Mason, Mark F Mason, Mark Z Mason, whatever, all the different ones, as long as when someone looks him up and he can kind of shift to the top, then I don't think people will value the actual username that much. It'll just be like, hey, what's your actual username? Oh, it's Mark Mason 69.5.
Man, it sounds like some kind of dystopian future, like the Matrix, where we're just all numbers. I remember when Alex, first time he came on the podcast, and we were talking about Trezor, hardware wallets, right? See if he remembers this. I got good memory like an elephant, right? With something other things as well. But I mean, I remember he was saying that in the future, he reckons everyone, potentially could kind of have their own hardware wallet device. So essentially, I like Joel's idea that, just like Twitter, you can change your your name to from 1 week to something else, but your underlying kind of your blockchain code name, whether it's numbers, so it doesn't matter what characters, what language you're in, it's all universal to the blockchain, correct?
Yeah, and you actually are already your name. You can change name. In France, you have the French Legion. Let's say you have done something bad. You go there.
I tried to get my friend to join that one a long time ago.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy path, to be honest. But in the end, you get cleared up. You get a new ID. Then meaning that who you are is not your name. Who you are is not even what you really think. Because I mean, if you have been 5 years in the French Legion, you are not the same one that the person that came in. So the only thing really that is immutable is kind of your DNA. And even I'm actually not 100% sure it never evolved in your whole life, but basically that's immutable. That's something like a hash of something, right? So in a similar way, we use that in databases. For instance, you have a hash, an ID of a user. Obviously, he has a username, but we work with the user ID. In the same way, the mnemonic could be resolved to whatever you want, an ID, whatever, a number, whatever. So it seems that there is a big value in the mnemonic, because of basically everything you start to use. The mnemonic seems a better password than the password. And from the mnemonic, you could sign message that could allow you to sign up in the website, to have 2FA. Like there is a huge value. I see that. Obviously, then the biggest problem is that what if someone steal you that wallet, that something? Then you have PIN protected, password protected. There is still some stuff to find out. But I'm really sensing that we are going there. If you look at the people that get, there is a part in your palm when you can get a chip with no harm. And you have actually people like, even in the early Bitcoin days, there is people that actually have their key there. It's like, I feel it's coming. I feel it's like the normal thing, and I, in the same way, feel that I might be the last one to actually implement myself that. So maybe I'm just seeing what I'm afraid of.
So you feel like it's the mark of the beast sort of thing. Yeah, we've seen like the rice to grain. I think it was the guy at General Bytes actually was one of the first people to do that as an implant. But let's just talk about more technical stuff, because I know you was trying to get some feedback on this. So you'll be interested.
A treasure in my arm.
Store
it all in there.
If you look,
you have to cut it out with a steak knife.
If you look at the Chinese, they actually don't use an ID or something in order to recognize a person. They recognize him by the movement of his body and his behavior.
That was an Mission Impossible movie.
Biometrics.
I don't know.
And the measurements,
I don't know, because that seems to what happen if you get a big accident, your face is different, and I don't know. I'm just.
This is what I don't like. Do you remember?
Also, what happens that basically means that Chuck Williams is about to lose all his money. Because I'm just gonna go and act and talk like him and just take all his value and just get rid of clean the poor guy out.
Two places I would look into, and I've said this before, is BitShares, because they've dealt with this stuff before. I don't know what their solution ever was, and then I know Namecoin dealt with it a long time ago. I don't know what they ever
did well though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we've been focusing on the aesthetics too much, I feel. Let's get to the nitty-gritty underneath. So let's talk about the funding of actually the blockchain usernames on the blockchain, and potentially users that don't have any funds that are new to it. How is the onboarding going to work in the app? Now, I guess this is still something that you're exploring and you're looking for feedback on. What kind of ideas have you got at the moment?
Yeah, so the best user flow we have is that either you have a previous mnemonic master key has called before, either you don't. If you have one, you enter it and that's it. If you don't, you actually have some easy mechanism. Ideally, it would be one button, you press it, get, I don't have a mnemonic, generate my mnemonic, and everything is hidden for the user, meaning that you enter your username and everything gets going. Then obviously there is a question of funding, but that's another question. So really what we try to find is what is the best onboarding process for the one that doesn't have any money yet, because you still have to pay the fee for the blockchain user.
But it's like a fraction of a penny, right?
It's like nothing. But if you don't have nothing, how do you do? Like, I mean, let's say the goal of DashPay is to allow you to have a username and being able to receive payment in the most easy way. If in order to get there, you have to first generate a mnemonic in order to have a cryptographic address that you can get money to, and then with that cryptographic address finally generate your user, then you still have the same issue that we have before. So you don't have to see the cryptographic address if you don't want at all, right? So in the end, you still have a way, someone to pay you or to generate you that. In the same way, if someone is generating you that, you have to be careful that it doesn't steal you. Like, what if, I don't know, a dApp creator, Coca-Cola has a dApp, and in order to get people going there, they fund you the creation of a username and offer you, like, I don't know, 1 pack of cola, whatever. You don't want cola to be like, oh man, your username is really good. I won't fund this one. I will keep that for myself. So yeah, you have different type of issue. You also don't want all the people in the world going to, I mean, if they are different, you want that, but you don't want the same person pretending to be 1 million person asking for 1 million different username. You basically don't want to open the hoarding for other. You don't want to fund the hoarding of blockchain username. You just want to fund one blockchain username per person. And then if you get to the question of per person, you get to the question of how do we know who is who? How do we know that you are not you twice? And we clearly don't want to do any kind of KYC AML, right? So you want to
what
have
if
some
people
kind
can
of
be two different people?
Hmm?
That's the thing, is that what if people can be two different people? I mean, we have Bruce Wayne and Batman. Like, I don't want to be paying the same person twice. Like, I want to be paying the same person under one account. You know, I sometimes imagine some people needing two different accounts, right? Two different complete like identities completely.
We don't want to block that. We want to make it economically not viable to ask to pass by us to have that. It can be a technical challenge. Like, I mean, it can be even a captcha. The time being doing that means that if you have the skill to actually do the hoarding by using the funding way, then it means that you probably could was that by just working for someone else, but then you get the fun of doing it into account. Like, I mean, it's making an economic disadvantage asking a username if you have the money to, or not if you have the money, but at least the real batching of hoarding, like making it impossible to script something to just register millions of username and us paying for that, for instance.
Mike
Yeah, of
in the
course.
live chat brings up a really good point. He says, is there a decentralized way of coding in a solution where the network will customize a user search based on geography and existing users in friends list and associates? Hope that makes sense. If the user wishes to allow access to that info, of course. Now, from that, I'm thinking like Facebook, you know, when you do a user search, you can search by countries and stuff as well. Is this something, I mean, like, it's a privacy thing, right?
By disclosed info, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can answer the question. If he uses the term DashPay, will DashPay allow? The answer is no. But if you want to do that, like, I mean, if someone want to do that, it will be the matter of forking the DashPay wallet repository with the Dash schema, adding one line to the Dash schema, which would be country. Let's say it will be a string, whatever, and then just adding that in your intent flow. So it can be technically made, but DashPay won't have that. DashPay will have very limited amount of information with you.
I'm hearing you loud and clear. So, okay, this is a secret message that Alex is giving to you, Mike. So he's saying that in evolution, if you build a social networking platform like Facebook, where people can connect their DashPay username, they might be able to search for you and then connect you on your friends list and stuff from there. You just got to think outside the box. If you want a solution, you can create it because you've got unlimited possibilities, right?
On that, it has been really important. It seems to be better now, but I don't know. At least last year, it has been a really important. The community tend to expect stuff from the DCG team by themselves, like not even telling us that they expect that, while they expect some clear things from us. So when we focus on DashPay, we focus on DashPay. We don't focus on a social networking platform. We don't focus on that. That's, I mean, we basically create the tool to allow you all to do that. And that's why evolution is foundation layer. DashPay is one easy example on, see, that's what we can do, but DashPay is only one specific targeting use case. There is million of that. Like, I mean, there is nothing that we did that show you how to create a marketplace. But what we will show you is enough for you to know how to do it, is basically what we do. Meaning that don't expect from us a marketplace. We provide you the tool to make it the most easy way possible with everything out of the box for you.
Well, how are these developers going to be able to build on it then? Is there going to be like a developer UX? Like, how are you going to give these tools to people then? Because you're going to have to engage with them somehow.
Developer UX is something we cared a lot. Is giving you, well, first it's about the proper documentation. It has been one of our problems previously. Now it became one of our strengths. Thank you really to all of the community working on that and people at DCG. But that was the first item we had to fix. Then it's about making the usage easy. Well, we're mostly working on new stuff, so they might have some elements on which other developer with external eyes might want to give a valuable opinion. But basically, we focus on that in a way that what I'm saying, in our discussion, I'm trying to be the advocate of the 15 years old kid that have a lot of time, but not a really good coding skill, that will be able to create everything to get funded and have the professionalism afterwards. But just and we have advocate of, basically we try to advocate for all the different use case and
we need to have things like Udemy courses and stuff, like how to build a DApp on the Dash thing, just so it's like, once again, ease of use, but for developers, right?
So that reminds me of have you ever, any of you guys ever played games back in the day that, like, especially like strategy games and things like that had their own editors, like level editors and stuff?
Oh, you can make your own maps and stuff.
Yes,
like
I used to do that so much. And there was this one. You remember Myth the Fallen Lords? I spent countless hours in that editor. I even started editing little like sprite images to like make people look different and just different physics and dealing with the physics and everything. I mean, spent so much time. I mean, if I put that much into actually learning how to develop, I would be almost as good as Alex by now. But I'm just saying, like, having an editor or something like that where people get to basically be developers without learning how to code themselves. Can you imagine all the amazing apps that would come out, all the dApps that could...
There is a dApp generator, is there not, to help kickstart that, correct, Alex?
It's Bootstrap. It's common usage to have a Bootstrap on which you start from. Everything is working out of the box and you implement on top of that. A generator, we can do any type of generator you want. It's not clear exactly what you mean with that.
On the first Evolution demo video, there was a presentation by Joshua, and he kind of mentioned there was a dApp generator. But then again, I know this was in the early stages, and I'm guessing you would have progressed.
Are you throwing him under the bus now?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But maybe that'd be better targeted, because I know you're laser focused on Dash Pay right now. So, but like this is really exciting. And this is why it's kind of like how iPhone changed the mobile phone industry by offering like an app store. I can't wait for someone to make an eBay for Dash Pay usernames, Facebook social media, a freelancing thing, all built on top, but it's easy, like plug and play, because you just plug into it and you've got that infrastructure there. So it's going to be so accessible. If it's almost like if you can dream to build it, it's possible. I mean, if you wanted to do a YouTube, as long as you could get the infrastructure and the data center, to store all the stuff, but like plug it into the network, decentralize, and utilize the username accounts, you can do anything. And people don't understand how amazing that is in itself, just from a login perspective, but also from a money perspective. Imagine if you're a big shopping store that just sells like different brands of clothes and stuff. You don't have to wait for people to put in their bank details, everything else, because it's already on the blockchain, right? So it's like plug and play. So we really need to hit this home and wake up developers, because it's the apps really that I think is going to really help get that mass adoption.
Yeah, I think so too. That's basically what we're aiming to. Even the ability to, having the ability to rely on previous work in order to make a new, better work seems to be, it's still the same thing. It's like you fork something to make something better. I would love that to happen even inside the dApps. Or I would love you to be able to kind of how we deal with packaging in software dependency, like having to be able to bring multiple dApps together and make another dApps from that. So obviously some part are us talking about things the future. Right now, obviously, you want to be able to make a dApps. There is some stuff that are not totally clear, like how do you make money as a developer of a dApps. There is stuff that are not clear yet. But yeah, making that's one of the steps we need. Now we have people coming and starting to pay with Dash. Now we have to allow them to pay even more to be able to access to new kind of way to pay, not just the mean of payment that we focus on with Dash, but also where do we pay? What is the payment experience? Obviously, that's not our job. That will be the job of all the DApp creator. But I guess that a DApp is, yeah, there is like, I mean, I'm waiting so much for the marketplace. So much.
Yeah,
Do you have any ideas?
Yeah. I mean, if you are one guy that are really serious in wanting to implement a marketplace, contact me. I will give you all the different elements I've thought about that. Like, I mean, if you are someone serious having the fund to work on that, so either you can work on that for 6 months with no pay yourself, or you can fund a development team, and you basically just want to look up for, like, hey, would I be able to do this or that, or just want to give me feedback or whatever. Yeah, my Twitter, my email, whatever you want on Discord, and give me everything. I will be able to help you as much as I can, obviously. But yeah, I won't be doing that myself. Is that the question? There is one thing I'm looking up, and it's exchange of message. So there is one thing in the privacy. Okay, there is way to improve the privacy that maybe we can ship in MVP. I cannot decide on that, so nothing has been decided. That's me trying to, give my 1 point on that. And with this,
before all you trolls start saying Core promised this.
Yeah, obviously no, it's not I mean,
Yes.
I'm Alex Werner. I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. Just so everyone's clear, because I know how people are. They hear what they want to hear when they want to hear it.
Yeah. And so there is that thing on which I'm thinking of that could even later on by one guy forking from that, or even creating another DApp and using that from there, allow communication, ciphered decentralized communication. There is always where does a message get exchanged? We would love have a protocol to exchange packet between a blockchain user. We are not there yet, so we talked about that long time ago already. But yeah, there is this thing I'm really looking up, because it's actually, if you end up fixing cryptographic complexity with crypto in general, then why couldn't you fix the same problem that we have already with PGP messaging exchange? And you already do in a way with all the Signal and other type of app. But yeah, what if Signal would be client-based, using DAPI and a blockchain user to sign a message? And I don't know. That's a subject that interests me.
Shouldn't it be the first priority, though, to find a way to share the dApps first? Joel could make the best dApp in the world, but if no one knows how to access it or even implement it, do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't say it doesn't have to be the Google Play Store, with reviews and comments. It would be amazing if it was, but I'm guessing it's going to be a modular process like the DashPay app, right, in itself.
In order to get to the marketplace, again, we are talking here about the vision part. We are not there yet. Like, I mean, it would be good to it's good to actually have the community. What do they think about that? Because I feel that it has been a long time we didn't discuss that part explicitly. But it won't be like DashPay won't have a market a la Google. But yeah.
Hey, Foxtrot was asking about the two-factor authentication, and I know Ryan had talked about various solutions in the past. Is there anything new on that front?
No, still, yeah, nothing new on that point. I may even have less knowledge at some on this particular point. It's not the, to be honest, it's not on the menu du jour right now. It's like we are not being tweaking up things in the end, but it's still something I put more towards the end. I'm not sure if we included that in the MVP actually for DashPay. But yeah, I'm even thinking that it might be one of the different tasks we do just after MVP while we aggregate because we still need to work while we aggregate comments from the community, right? I mean, we probably will have some issue and pull request to deal with.
Man, it's so great to talk to you, Alex, man. It's been really, really insightful, informative. Joel, have you got any burning questions that you're dying to ask Alex?
Oh yeah, I got one. When Evo?
When Coinbase.
Evo is here. You already start to see Evo, I guess. I mean, I'm seeing Evo. Have been in the when Evo, or shit, when are we delivering Evo? But now we are delivering Evo, or Codablock is delivering Evo, to be honest, because we are still open source for DAPI. But I'm working, so DashPay Wallet is working on DAPI, meaning I'm making payments on DAPI. Obviously, there is some interactivity that is still missing, like the improvement that you have in the hand of in the middle hand of software development. But it's already integrated as Evo. Like, I mean, it's a wallet that doesn't need to sync the wall chain, that doesn't need all the complexity to be developed as would done a bread wallet or something else. It's just using DAPI in order to fetch the different UTXO. It's validated by using all the DAPI nodes. Like, I mean, you are already it's already the world of Evo in a sense. It's not having your node on your own computer. It's having a network on which, as a developer, you have a convenient way to work on. The RPC was a first way towards that. Adapi is the second year, and then we have to keep going, improving that. But I don't know where the person asking is, but I'm already in Evo.
How is the mood with the Dash core developers right now? So people that just stop by and look into Dash every now and then, or investors, with the price down, how is the sentiment? Are developers okay? Are they worried, or are they like doubling down their efforts? What's the mood going on right now?
How large is your stack of ramen noodles?
So this question, I've made a big stack recently, but it's just because my country is going through a particular time. And we had actually, like, you can go on my Twitter, you have the picture of my shop. There is not, like, it's going better now, but there is some disruption on a fresh product.
So you need to move to Venezuela where there's more food.
Yeah. No, I'm, just piling up as a safety measure. I need to be able to be walking without, making 10K miles, finding food somewhere else.
Yes, which is why Mark has his stack of frozen pizza boxes just in case. Okay, I'll stop derailing your answer on the question. You can go on.
And that's the spirit. But on how, like, I mean, I guess it's maybe we don't really speak about, like, and even in the community, even maybe I'm not spending enough time on bad news reading, but I don't feel it that much anymore. Like, it seems that we are so focused on what we are doing that we are doing what we are doing. And when we head up together in a meeting, we are talking about what we have to talk in the meeting, because the meeting is only 1 hour, 1 hour long. We tend to have a lot of items that we didn't clear up in the end. So you will speak about this type of subject in the 5 first minutes when you basically wait everyone to come in. And so, yeah, and even in that time, we are really focused on the job. So I think that the lack of time and the amount of work needed protect us from even having time to really focus too much on that. Obviously, like, you have so much thing to do, and we have discussed about many of them. We would love to have help, right? And having time like that is really drastic cut in any further plan on that. So basically, we're working on the resources we have now, and yeah, that's probably one of the biggest issue, I guess, and probably just the time for
Yeah, it would be unfair to ask you about money and budget. That's more for Glenn, CFO territory. It's just more about reassuring the community. I mean, from what you're saying is that you're completely focused and dedicated to doing your job, and there isn't fear that people are going to lose their jobs within core. We know from the financials and summary call, you've got a little bit of money that you can fall back on for a little bit if need be, and also Glenn has given forward guidance in terms of Treasury asked. I think was it like 70%? I think, or was it 60%? I don't know. Perhaps someone can correct me in the chat or something like that. But like Core have already outlined that they're only prepared to take a certain amount of the Treasury allowance per month. I think it's more that, you know, we're going to probably get some doomsday articles or some opportunists in the media that just like to spread FUD about Dash, like, oh, you know, is this the end? But like,
Dash has something really, really valuable, and we have to be really precious and careful about that. It's about the people that are in Dash, in DCG, but even at Dash. Like, I mean, I've been talking with so much of the. But that's another subject. The thing is, let's just take the previous year, the ICO crazy year. We had, at this point, there is a point when price for paying a software developer are indecent. Previous year was that. I'm not even sure I will. Well, yeah. So despite that, the team is still here. It's because whatever one scammy guy can offer you to do the scammy project, we are not interested in that. So there is something else that get us together in Dash and not in one of the million other type of project. And it's the same way with the community. So basically we have a community, we have developers, we have all type of DAO that are focused in some kind of an intangible thing, like a vision, a spirit, whatever. It's not enough for whatever 90% drop or 90. Like what I'm seeing with that is that 95% drop was not enough to break Dash. So yeah, it can drop again from here. At this point, I don't really care anymore. And yeah, we are still here. So that means that
saying this isn't just a job for you. You believe in this. You believe you're changing the world. Like you want to see this through. It's like you've got a mission objective and you want to see it through to the end.
Yeah, it's like Japanese has a term for that. It's when you we end up being developers. Many of us have worked on stuff that you get your salary from maybe an advertising, maybe selling data from other person. Like first, I'm not doing that at all. But secondly, I'm doing some things that are in sync with my political view or at least my ideological view. It's something I can get paid for, something I'm good at. Like, I mean, it's at some point you end up realizing, okay, what is the best job I want? Well, can it be better than that? And then someone can get you and ask you, propose you 20 times the salary you are making. It's maybe not even good enough to, at some point, if you have enough to eat, drink, whatever, such as obviously in a market like that, then you became, that's the thing with the Dash developer. Even 95% cannot.
So you're a true believer then. You live and breathe this stuff. Joel,
not only me, that's the thing.
Yeah, well, Joel lives and breathes it as well. Like he walks the walk, he just doesn't talk it. You know, he lives off Dash 100%.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
I never shut up.
Yeah, but no, that's because he's like your test. He's like Joel's like your guinea pig, right? And you know what you'll have to do is that not just to appease him, you see him as a power user, and so this is why it's so important. And for me, hearing you say that, knowing that you play a kind of lead role in the Dash paid development, I want to know that you believe in it, and it wasn't just it's not just a 9 to 5 to you. You actually see a much bigger picture in this, which I think you've.
It's a 7 to 11 thing for him.
Yeah, there's so much exciting stuff too. The LLMQs, the chain locks. That keeps you going. I mean, it's just
and this is maybe. I mean, that's maybe the best proof the community could have. The community give us a mandate to do stuff, right? When we are going outside of that mandate, increasing the benefit when we see it, chain locks. I didn't saw a mandate from the community to do chain locks, and we still improve it. Why? Because we are the first user, the first believer, as much as the whole community, in that we are the community. I mean, me as a developer, I am also the community, as much as someone that we never heard in this podcast. That's really the thing. It's we got paid because we were smarter than all the other cryptocurrency project. We find a way to make Dash sustainable in the future, and that's why we get paid. But before that, even like I started as a volunteer, as many in Dash. It's really about Dash, right?
So you see it as a movement more so than a project.
Maybe. I mean, it's a movement trying to bring something to the one that doesn't have the liberty in the like in Venezuela, or people that are removed from bank account. Like, I mean,
or people that are trying to live off of Bitcoin, the poor souls.
I mean, in France, you get your bank account removed if you are working with crypto. Not all the bank account. It depends. It seems to be arbitrary, but a lot of people just got removed from the bank. Like, you have 30 days to get out of there. If you didn't remove the fund, we keep them. I mean, that's for who we are trying to fight. Like, I mean, we are trying to make a way that, despite the size of the world, you can be at any point and still being able to bring what allow you to live and to be able to exchange something across something you would love to. People, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's easier to.
It's easier said than done. Actually, I got to give credit where it's due. The first time I met Alex in person was at the London conference, Dash conference, in September 2017. And in terms of Dash like taglines and slogans, was having a few beers. I believe it was talking about France in the hotel, just talking about how we can improve stuff there. And Alex said to me, Mark, it's really about financial freedom, financial independence. Now we throw that around left, right, and center.
Become financially independent.
And like I use it on the Twitter and stuff all the time. But I think in terms of Dash, I think you was the first person to really say that to me, and it really resonated. Kind of saying like, it's not about countries, Mark. It's not about. Yeah, of course, we need to do strategies and understand and have people on the ground in different places. But as long as we focus on financial freedom, true financial independence, that message is universal. And ever since you said that to me, that's always stuck in my head. So I'm guessing
I had personally experienced a lot of trouble with banks just because I was poor enough to experience all this problem. It's like, I mean, it's something to have a solution to that. Like, I mean, many people that are well done doesn't really understand the problem. Even in France, we have the problem, but I heard some people telling that, yeah, in civilized country, we don't have the problem. Yes, we do. You just don't see it because you are rich enough to not see. You like, I mean, there is some, maybe it's only in France, but in France, if you get below zero, which can happen, then you get a 50 euro commission to say, yes, you can go below zero, which means that you are instantly at below 60. Then, like, I mean, you just get 1 euro below zero, right? And you boom, 50 euro to pay. It's commission.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I never thought about that before. Yeah, that's a great point about, because we don't see that, but yeah, the more you think about that, yeah, even in America, there is people who could totally benefit from that. That can't get bank accounts and stuff.
Yeah. So the thing about like, I won't spend too much time on the unbanked and banky stuff because we're coming up to the close here. But
yeah, we got to wrap it up.
It's so hard to get a bank account for some people. Just if you lose a permanent address right then all of a sudden, oh, too bad. Or you have some issue where like you had a rough time in your life and couldn't pay, and then all of a sudden you don't have it, or you don't have proper documentation or whatever. And so you have to use all these kind of third-party like money services. And I remember like one of the biggest a lot of people get worried about cryptocurrency with the price fluctuations, which is, it is a thing. But I was always more worried about, especially when I was poor, living with a bank account, about I never knew how much was going to be in there. Right? I was afraid to look. I actually got like PTSD. Right? I was a little like scared to look at the account because then it'd be like, oh shit, that's all I have. Because what happens is, because of the bank account, people can just debit from your account. They just charge you like, oh, well, the electricity company decided to charge you way more than you thought. They just take it out. Or, oh, there was a new fee and whoops, now all of a sudden you're overdrafted and you're down. It's just this sense of helplessness. Or when I was about to pay rent, when I finally closed my bank account, I was about to pay rent and I go to the bank and I realize I have a negative balance because someone wrote some crap on a piece of paper and did check fraud and they just took all my money. It's like, And I don't have to worry about that with cryptocurrency ever. Like all the years using Dash, I've never been like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be gone. I always know exactly how much is going to be in there, even if the valuation might go down sometimes or go up. I mean, sometimes I'm with Dash, I'm pleasantly surprised sometimes. Like I get a Dash back from something, or someone paid something extra. Sometimes I have more than I thought, but I never have less. And that it's my power. My funds are my power is very strong. Whereas with everyone else, you got the bank account and you're at their mercy. And that's something that we really could do to switch around in the world.
We have well, like again, civilized country, right? We have one case that really happened to more than just one person. We just don't see it because we avoid talking about it. But it's basically the triptych is like you don't have a permanent resident, so you cannot have a bank. Because you cannot have a bank, you cannot have a job. Because you cannot have a job, you cannot have a home. You end up living in a car. Dash basically fixed one of the solution. Sadly, it's hard to be paid in Dash right away. But again, we are looking for fixing that in the future, right? So that's one thing. And the other thing is that sometime in France, what happened is that you have to pay a lot of you have to pay taxes, all kind of different one, and sometimes the system is just making mistakes, like computer mistakes, whatever. You end up paying a lot more than what you should. And if you are not agree with that, sometimes you would say, no, I won't pay. I don't own you that. Fix your shit in your hand, which can take up to 1 year. The problem is that quickly it will increase, and at some point they will directly take that on your account. Taxes, government, like a lot of person have the right to take that directly onto your account. So basically here you are in a situation where you say, no, I will just not pay that until you fix your shit. Tell me how exactly much I need you to pay, and remove all the time whatever that you had it on top of that. I'm just paying the raw basis. And then by having the mean to do that, like suddenly you really can do that. By doing that, you will stop paying first and then discuss later, which in the end remove a little bit of power from them. Not all the power, just the power to bully you, basically. That's what really is empowerment in the day-to-day. And I'm not talking about our Venezuelan friend here. I'm talking in a civilized country. I'm just talking about French because that's the only one I know for sure. But I know I assume I'm not in the only country doing that. And that's only covering the rich country. Then if you go to the one that doesn't have the chance to live there, then it's
some of the worst get price gougers are gyms, because you go get motivated. I'm going to pay $20 a month to go work out, and then after that month, they take it forever, and you just so hard to get them to stop stealing your money. And just being able to have that, well, I have to pay you, or just that whole thing when people sends you an invoice, someone sends you an invoice, and you're just like, I didn't agree to any of this. Well, blah, 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 you got to pay it. At least you have to have an argument there. You can just always say, no, I'm not paying. And you can get blacklisted. They can sue you or do legal action, but that's a big hurdle to get over. Usually they just let you go away. But if they just say, I haven't taken your money, and it's just what's going on. It's
you just, that's basically the thing is that if you are not agree, you will be able to say it and not do something, because no one will be able to take your money. What will they do? Make you in prison because you didn't pay for a service you didn't took? No, you paid the first month. You didn't go there. You said, okay, I'm not going. I'm stop paying. Is that something bad? Yeah, maybe people think so. At least you have the choice to make your own decision on that. If you want to go in prison because you didn't pay, that's your problem. At least you can take that decision. That's also, I think, something.
Yeah, that happens with all kinds of companies, especially semi-monopolistic companies like internet service providers and things like that. They just add a whole bunch of bills on top. Oh yeah, you just owe this. And then sometimes, and they all do, like phone companies, they'll send you a bill, and they take your money, and then you just have to call them and be like, hey, why are you charging all this? What's that? Well, that's the overage for this, and that's that. And eventually you figure out that most of those charges they just sort of made up, and then you have to tell them to take it off. But if they have to just send you a thing and then hope you pay it, then they're not going to try to pull so many fast ones like that.
Yeah, the Cyprus situation is what led to one of the first big Bitcoin pumps because they just took everybody's money or give them a big haircut.
The Balians, yeah. And
Let's wrap it up.
he's not joking. They really did call it a haircut. I mean, like, it was pretty brutal for us Europeans, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, look at Mark. He has nothing left. They robbed him.
God, I need to get that green card.
All right. So time for the shout outs and to end this thing and then after party. So first off, if you have any Dash, which if you're watching this, you probably have some, you can vote in Dash Boost. And for forever, people have been complaining about, back when it was like $10,000 to get a master node, and now it's like so much more. But people have been saying, oh, but there's only the elite, only the rich people can vote and all this kind of stuff. Go to dashboost.org. There's a bunch of proposals. You can just, any amount of Dash you can vote for. There's a bunch of good ones. I'm a big fan of Spark in particular. This is my personal lobbying. Who knows if Mark or Brian agree with me. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, all kinds of stuff. When Mark goes and ruins his weekend by doing the repost of this, he's going to include all the links to the audio only version. So if you don't like seeing Alex's charming smiley face because you're a hateful person, then you can go do that instead of just watching the YouTube links. And as always, we do the after party right after these things. If you're not in the Dash Talk Discord, what's wrong with you? Go to staydashy.com. It's the quick link. And then just start asking, hey, where's the after party at? And there's going to be a few of us hanging out in there as usual, chit-chatting about anything and everything. And yeah, that's where you get a lot of really good, insightful information. We've had a very high demand for the after party. At some point, we might have to split into 2 or 3, with one of the 3 amigos leading one of the subgroups, and then eventually we have an army and take over the world. Anything you want to add, Mark?
I think that was a great outro. Well, that was episode 80 of the Dash Force 3 Megas. 80 episodes, guys. It's absolutely flown by. Wow. 80 Fridays in a row. That's insane. Thank you, Alex, for coming on. Absolute gen. And just to reiterate what Joel was saying, if you're like us, we have these conversations. They go on for hours. Like these you don't want it.
No, not hours. Weeks sometimes. I've had it where I remember one time there was an after party and it ended, of course, like at 11 or midnight on Friday. And then I wake up and I'm doing something in the middle of the day on the weekend, and all of a sudden the after party thing starts ringing again, and everyone's back in the after party all Saturday, and I'm just like, and then all Sunday. It's terrible.
Excellent. Well, as Joel said, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a fantastic weekend. In the next few weeks, we should have some more interesting guests from the core team. So make sure you watch out for those. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay positive, stay humble, but most importantly, stay dashy.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Cheers.